Welcome in once again to all my little precious prosecutor cubs. I am, as always, your favourite, friendly despair bear, Annakuma, and today I'm here to talk to you about a game that I was given the demo to on Keymailer that blends the style of Ace Attorney and Papers, Please together to make an interesting new take on court-based gameplay. The game in question is the Laws of Nadragia. Before all this though, a quick plug. On Valentine's Day this year, we'll be doing our yearly Palentine's Day stream with a voice-acted dating sim. All money raised in that stream will go towards vet bills for my dog Scooby, so I will be dropping some promos on that as much as I can in the coming weeks, as it is a super important stream for me. As always, some pre-video warnings as well. First of all, I played this game on non-timed mode. I plan on playing it timed on stream the day this video will drop, so if you want to come and see that, I'll be live in an hour's time on twitch.tv/worker89. The VOD for that stream will be up at a later date. It took me about an hour, or just about under, to get through the 3 trials that are available in the demo. And that demo itself dropped today on the 26th of January. And again, I got this key through Keymailer. Now I have that all out of the way, let us begin. Laws of Nadragia, which I will always say wrong, I apologize, is a detective mystery game that is heavily inspired by Ace Attorney. It's being developed by Fuzzy Pixel Game Studio, which is a fantastic name for a company, and honestly, I'm really excited for this game. Much like Ace Attorney Investigations, which I've just finished on stream myself, you have a little avatar that runs around the place, but instead of the investigation side of Ace Attorney, you kind of have a hub world that you interact with. The art style is super pretty, and it's easy to navigate through the hub, but I guess it also isn't super impressive or standoutish, and it could be overlooked just for its simplicity. Where this art style really comes into play though is the animations the character portraits themselves have. This is probably its biggest positive, so I'm going to start talking about that. The characters, when you talk to them, don't just have static portraits, but they move around and have a bit of an animation to them. They genuinely react to what is happening in the trials. The first trial you go to is the test trial with Glum, another prosecutor, and he very happily will play every single character in this test trial. The amount of work to make this one character into 3 different characters and the humor they add to it is just amazing. That being said, Ike Illiman from the second trial is probably my favorite. His frustrations and anger at the system that is about to prosecute him and what is happening to his family are perfectly shown through all the animations. The hub world itself has a bunch of characters for you to interact with. In the full game release, they'll have their own stories and reasons to talk to them. They are kind of pointless in this demo. That doesn't mean I don't think you should go and talk to them. For the full experience of what is yet to come, I do recommend running around the hub and interacting with whatever you can. I am going to take a big swing to the biggest negative though, that being the translation issues. You can see that the story itself is super interesting, but the translation makes dialogue feel clunky and unnatural. Some characters spend a lot of time explaining a lot of nothing to you. Others have dialogue that just kind of feels weird and a chore to sometimes get through. It was still super fun, and I loved following along, but it does need to be tightened up just a little bit in the future. For a game that is going to rely so heavily on story building and world creating, and players being able to find contradictions in what the character's saying, the translation needs to be much better. There are a bunch of interesting characters in the hub world, as I've said, and they have a lot of really interesting ideas going on. There is a detective that is kind of like the stand-in for Gumshoe from Ace Attorney. You have to talk to each day to learn more about your cases, and I guess mainly the world at large. His dialogue in the demo was a little too long and overcomplicated, and I found myself completely lost to what the game really wanted to tell me with this, other than the basics of you have to go to him for your information every day. That being said, I found going to talk to the prisoner, who's a little out of the way, is very interesting because it really opens your eyes to what kind of world we're in. There's also a guard that's watching over him, who helps build that tension of what's going on in the world, and he seems like he might be an interesting and important character later in the game. So the world building, hey? This is where the Papers, Please influence comes. You are very much in an authoritarian country where laws are extremely strict and the majority of the populace are guilty of something or the other. From talking to the prisoner, you learn that he's been held there for a month or so and his hearing keeps getting put back for bigger problems the country's facing. And when I say bigger problems, these means things like the judge that was meant to be overhearing his case being found guilty of treason himself and sentenced to death. We have a rulebook in the trials that I feel will change during the game, much like the rules do in Papers, Please. These give you an idea of just how bad this world is. You can be put to death for the smallest of things, and I feel that list will grow and grow as the game goes on, or at least that's what I feel like they're telling us is going to happen. The trials in the game are really where it all comes to life though. We have 3 trials, 2 of them are absolutely first class, and the final one isn't awful, but it is a cliffhanger, and I feel it's looking to a bigger story in the game going forward. I won't go into a lot of detail on the trials, other than a brief look at some of them. For the first one, the test trial with Glum, oh my god, is that so good. It's there to teach you everything, and it just makes me so happy. I loved it so much. There was all the Ace Attorney humor, a lot of rule being dumped on you that you really need, and it very easily explains how to play the game. So how do you play the game? Well, you have a rulebook. It doesn't really do much in the demo, but it's kind of like a second set of evidence that will change as you go along. This, along with the case file, will have statements in it that you can pick to show contradictions or tell the judge exactly what it is you're trying to get at when you're telling them that the bad guy's done something wrong. Across from it, as I said, is the case file. This is full of statements, and it's constantly being added to as you talk to people. When you see a contradiction or get asked a question from the judge or one of the defendants, you'll have to pick a statement in either of the 2 books that works best. It is pretty easy to figure out, and at least in the non-timed version, if you click past the statement, it'll do that Ace Attorney thing of having your character have a sudden thought about what to do, and then take you back to the statement for you to deal with it. It did take me a little while to get used to it, because it is a little more clunky than Ace Attorney, but by the end of it, I'd got into the hang of it quite well. The second trial is the meatiest one in the demo, and really showcases the creativity that the writers of the game have. I didn't necessarily know what direction the trial was going to go in at any given moment, but every step was super interesting, and it shows how many ideas they have to bring evidence into the cases mid-case, and it's just so fun to play through. It also ended up being an extremely sad story. That being said, I would say that I am a little worried that this game has such a great concept and huge potential, but it also has a huge margin to go pretty badly. As I keep saying, the translation does need to get better. The trials are nice and long, but I worry that they might not be able to keep the quality up for all the game. There are meant to be 3 trials per day, and I don't know how many days they want to put into the game, but even for 7 days, that would be like 21 trials they will need to do. For the story they're trying to tell, I feel we might even need more than 7 days. I don't know how long they'd want to make the game itself. To be fair on them, the Ace Attorney games are extremely long and seem to get longer the deeper into the series I'm getting, so a 20+ hour game would be welcome, but that would be a lot of cases to go through. The problem here then would be whether they could create that many interesting cases, and I feel bringing the number of trials per day back to 2 instead of 3 might help them with that. I'm not saying that I don't feel they could create a lot of trials with really good stories in them, but I'd like to see them really focus on the quality of each trial and not the quantity of them. I don't know, as I keep saying, I don't know how many days they plan on running for, but I'd like to see the game designed to be super tight and maybe dropping the number of cases per day and working on making sure they have enough days to tell the entire story of the world around it would be a better option. Honestly though, we didn't really get to see that Papers, Please part of the game shine in the demo, so I do wonder how that will all translate in the final story. The hints to it we have are super interesting, and I can't wait to see where that goes. But again, it also could end up being a hindrance, in so much as they need to add so much story-based content in, and will they have the space and time? My favourite hint to Papers, Please in the demo is at the end of the day when you get your results of the day through and you get money. I don't know how this is going to play into the game. There didn't seem to be a shop or anything. I don't know about your lodgings and all that. It'll be interesting to see how that plays into it. As it is, the game is super interesting. This could end up being an extremely strong indie merger of two games I already really love. Its animation, the storytelling, and the music, which I haven't even mentioned yet, but boy does it have a banger of a soundtrack, all make this a very exciting prospect. But whether or not it will be able to live up to the hype, only time will tell. That for now though, guys, is my video done. Thank you as always for coming to support me. I'm for sure keeping an eye on this title, and I hope to get to play the full version one day. Please, if you enjoy the video, give me a subscribe here on YouTube, as well as liking this video. If you like what you see, also feel free to follow me over on twitch.tv/aworker89, where I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at 1 PM British time, and we play all sorts of games. It was my Twitch stream that seemingly interested the people behind the game to give me a key to it. So if you like Ace Attorney and games like this, feel free to follow me. We're currently doing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on Saturdays as well. I hope to be back with you soon with new exciting content. We also have a big stream coming up this Valentine's Day, as I've already mentioned, so look out for some promo videos and stuff coming soon, hopefully with more details. Until then, make sure that you don't break any of the rules and end up in the gallows. And thank you so much for watching. Bye bye everyone.